This conference
Hello.
will now be recorded.
Okay, thank you, Aida. Welcome everyone for this webinar. It's a real pleasure. I think Aida already introduced me, but you can read my name in the slide. And we will be talking in the next 15 minutes or 20 minutes about why we would like to pursue our postgraduate studies. And first thing, see, okay. First, we need to define what are postgraduate studies. And as you might imagine, it's something after graduation from bachelor degree, right? So essentially, the definition is that these are studies that require a previous undergrad degree for entry. So to make a master's, you need to have a bachelor degree, and to make a PhD, in most places you need the master's. In few places you need just the bachelor, but you need typically a previous undergraduate level degree in order to be admitted in postgraduate studies. Also, how are these postgraduate studies? Typically, they are master's or PhD or doctoral. Sometimes we call them doctoral studies. And masters typically last between 1 to 2 years, depending on the type of masters and depending on the region of the world where you are. And in Kazakhstan, in Nazarbayev University, the masters, they last 2 years in engineering and in science. And the PhD is intended to last 4 years above the masters. Let's see some facts about how typically Kazakh students or Kazakhstanese students feel about doing postgraduate studies. In this regard, we did a survey on 2019 from all the applicants to the university for the bachelor degree and for master's and for all the degrees, but mostly for bachelor degree. And we noticed that about a big number, 3,685 applicants, 2,300 responded the survey. And essentially we asked them, what is your motivation to come to the university, and how many of you plan to do a postgraduate level studies? And we found something very interesting, that was that 56% of the applicants who responded the survey, out of the 2,358, they said that they came to do the bachelor because they planned to continue with the postgraduate level studies. And indeed, from this 56%, they said about 34% of this 56 fraction, they said they wanted to do just the master's, and 22%, the remaining, they said we wanted to go not only to the master, but even further to the PhD. So it's interesting because this is the mentality of our students who are coming to Nazarbayev University, and that raises the interest. So this is very important. We need to put a lot of effort in postgraduate studies. So now I will try to explain or to give you my hints about why you would like to do a master's, okay? And after that, I will try to also convince you or tell you why you would like to do a PhD. So first, why doing a master's? Well, first thing is that the master's increase your employability. It means that you can get better jobs, you can find much interesting opportunities, if you will, and it is proven, according to an American survey, that the level of or the degree of your studies, they lower the level of unemployment. So as you read in the bottom on the left, you can notice this is based on the US, which is a developed country, as we plan to be in Kazakhstan very soon as well, right? They had that people with only high school, they had about 4.6% of unemployment compared to 2.5% unemployment rate for bachelor degree. So it's obvious that a bachelor degree gives you an advantage, but how much more advantage is to have a master's? Well, it takes you to 2.2 unemployment rate. So there are more chances to get a job than having a bachelor, but not too much. But it's important to recognize that there is an important, it's a difference between having a master and having a bachelor. But what if afterwards? Well, you can get even lower unemployment rate, 1.5%. And what about the income? Well, in the US, in the survey they did, they found that the level of income in the lifetime throughout the whole life of the individual after getting the diploma, the amount of income the person can obtain with only high school diploma is much lower than what he or she can obtain when she or he gets a bachelor. And if you get a master's, you can get up to 15% more lifetime income compared to a single bachelor. And if you get a PhD, you can even jump higher income. So not only unemployment, but also income. So the employability as a whole is improved by postgraduate level studies. So also it highlights your enhanced skills above your peers, so you become someone more specialized in a particular field. Also, making a master's makes or demonstrates that you are really committed to a given discipline. So it means that you really want to be more knowledgeable in a particular subject or area. As I said, higher income is another consequence. And but let's continue asking, why a master's? Why we should still do a master's? Well, it gives you professional training. So when you do the bachelor degree, you get kind of a substantial training, but still you don't get specialized in particular subfields. So when you do the master's, you focus even further in a particular discipline to develop technologies or put technologies in the field. And personal or professional training in this case is important because some industries, they require the professional training in particular areas like specialize in thermodynamics or specialize in manufacturing or specialize in aerospace or specialized in power. They need that to give you promotion in the career. So growing in an industry is connected to the level of training you get in certain areas. Also, it gives you much broader space to search if you want to get another company or you want to move from the industry to another industry. It gives you better career prospects when you have a master's. And also, since masters are almost the same in many places around the world, it gives you international recognition. So having a master's in a good university in Kazakhstan is as good as a master in a good university in Europe or a good university in America. So people recognize the degree as a high level of commitment to learning a particular subject or area. And one very important thing that I recommend you to consider when you start working, even when you get your bachelor degree and you, let's say you prefer to develop 1 or 2 years in the industry or working in a company, well, many companies, they give advantage to their employees by giving them assistance to pay the tuition for doing the masters. And this is something few people know, but many companies can pay for the masters of their employees. Of course, they will ask you to do the masters in the afternoon or the evenings or the weekends because they don't want you to lose the time during the daylight where they have work to be done. But still, you might not be completely convinced yet about why doing a master's. Let me try to tell you more advantages or more characteristics of doing a master's. Well, sometimes, as you may notice these days, we see trends. The fourth industrial revolution is moving to machine learning, artificial intelligence, big data, and you might say, okay, I already got my bachelor in mechanical engineering or electrical engineering or civil engineering, and I am noticing that the fourth revolution is pushing forward to data science. Well, the master's might be an opportunity to focus your discipline in these trending areas. So you can be a data scientist, being a mechanical engineer or being electrical or being civil or being chemical engineer. So you can use the master's as a manner to convert to the new trends in the area. And these, for example, today are very clearly data scientists, software development, medicine and healthcare, If you search now in the US, most of the new universities that are growing now are in biomedicine to create a new generation of people working in the health sector. Yes, and then also planning and surveying is another area that is trending currently. And finally, technology management. This is important for clean technology. Sorry, I have some noise on the background. Okay, should I continue? Okay, should I continue? Okay. Okay, well, I said that the master's is a good opportunity to convert from a given field to new trending areas. So you don't have to change your bachelor, but you can focus the bachelor in this new trending area. Robotics, artificial intelligence, they can be compatible with your background bachelor degree. This is always possible, okay? So still, we might say, but I need still more reasons to make the master. Well, the masters also allow you to do a thesis. And this is a little bit more in deep than the capstone you did in the bachelor. So the masters will ask you to do some intellectual work further beyond just the application of technology. It will be developing a new technology, and that will be intellectually rewarding. And it will help you to practice your mental skills in developing or solving problems. For those who are problem-solving people, that's going to be really interesting because it will help you to develop something in more detail. This is good for people who have passion for knowledge. Also for curious people, if you feel you are a curious person, someone that likes to learn more and find the reasons of many things that happen, many phenomena, well, this is a good opportunity. Doing a master's will ask you to do a thesis, and that thesis can be that moment in which you can try to answer that question that you had for many years, and you now have the chance to do it. Okay, I would say that the bachelor degree or the bachelor degree gives you the chance to apply technology. Okay, the masters give you the chance to develop new technologies, and the PhD gives you the chance to create knowledge. So you create knowledge at the PhD level, you develop technology at the master's, and you implement that technology at the bachelor. I would say this is the rule. And then as you go in the higher level of postgraduate studies, you become more like a developer of new technologies or more like a developer of new knowledge for people to turn that into solutions to society. So masters can also be seen as the bridge for the PhD, as I said before. So when we see that as the bridge for the PhD, we can see the masters as the intermediate step to continue the path to the PhD. As I said, PhD is the highest level of preparation in the academy, and that is typically to develop knowledge, to create knowledge. Not to create solutions, but create knowledge. And with knowledge, you can then develop solutions at the master level. And with these developed solutions, you can implement them, which is the role of the engineers or the bachelor professionals. Well, the master then can allow you to prepare for the PhD. And sometimes people think, well, PhD looks like a boring because PhD will be just working in a lab, in a university, or all. As I said, it's a work that allows you to practice your curiosity, your problem-solving skills. But one thing that few people know is that in developed countries like the US, about 50% of the PhDs in science and engineering, they go to the industry. So almost 50% are taken by the industry because developed countries, they have industries that have a research and development department. And these departments typically need people to create knowledge. So engineers and masters that can develop technologies and then can implement them in the market. So of course, the academic career is also an option. It's a very important option because it's the way to grow, is the way to make other people grow. So you always will need faculty, professors, good professors to motivate, to inspire young generation of new Kazakhs or Kazakhstanese that need to be also formed. So also becoming a good faculty is also a good reason to do a PhD. So you can now have a larger influence, and then you can help other people to grow and help your country and the world to have a much better bachelors and masters in the field. So then, now that we started talking about the PhD, let me continue saying, well, I am already there. Why then doing the PhD? Well, the PhD will give you deeper knowledge on some particular field, and then will allow you to identify gaps that exist in knowledge. And this is the moment when you find your place in the science. When you do a PhD, typically you need to review previous knowledge, what people have done, and then you need to find the gap. And that gap is the place where you will put your footprint. So you learn a lot about a certain area, certain topic, and then you build your own with this gap that you found. You create your own knowledge for other people to develop. But PhD is also enjoying, it means enjoying doing research. Doing a PhD is mostly research work. In the masters, I would say 50% is taking courses and the other 50% is doing research. So in the PhD, I would say that 75% is doing research and 25% is taking courses. So most of the work in the PhD is research. So you need to enjoy doing research to feel like a fish in the pond. So with a PhD, as I said, you will build knowledge that hopefully will contribute to a better society. So you will help to bring science to society. But the link between the PhD and the society are the masters and the bachelors. So you need create knowledge so masters can develop new devices, new systems, and the bachelors can implement them in society. Also, becoming a PhD will give you the credentials to feel and to perform as an independent investigator, someone that can do your own research, and eventually you will grow other people. You will teach other people to do research. And this is the story of the life, right? So we grow and we grow. After we grow and we are grown up, we grow other people after us. And that's similar in PhD. It helps you to grow other people. So when you grow, you can grow, as I said, in the PhD, not only in the academy, but also in the industry. And as I said, you need to have that sense of fulfillment by growing other people, by seeing how other people progress. So a PhD, as I said, is the minimum credential nowadays required for higher education faculty. So it will give you enough background to help other people grow. And then I will make you stronger in problem-solving skills by giving you more rigor intellectually, and will improve your communication skills by giving presentations, writing papers, making your knowledge available to the whole community. And of course, it will give you a much larger network of other scientists around the world. A typical PhD spends probably 1 or 2 or more than 2 years of his or her career in the international field. So they have to exchange, they have to do postdoc visiting to other universities, to other countries. So it's very commonly a person that moves around the world. And of course, as I said initially, getting a PhD gives you a much better chance to be employable and give you a larger lifetime income. And now I will just present in this last slide, or second last slide, what I would say are the typical characteristics of someone who wants to do the master's or PhD. Okay, what are the typical personal and professional skills or features that we have identified in successful postgraduate students? First, you need to have a good research potential. But what is having a good research potential. What it means? Well, it means that you need to have curiosity. You need to have some interest in making new things in new ways, not repeating always what other people do, but doing things in a different, better way if possible. And very importantly, you have to be self-driven, which means that with few instructions of your advisor, you need to be able to continue and work on your own, mostly independently, but eventually you will become fully independent, okay? And that's the PhD level. What about personal characteristics of the person? Well, it's important that you are passionate about what you do, like everything in life, that you have passion for. You make a good chance to be successful on that, and be someone inspired for doing the degree. But what inspires you is not doing the degree, but it's probably what you will reach afterwards. You can help other people. For example, with the current COVID-19, some people are moving to bioengineering, not because they want to get a diploma in bioengineering, but because they want to help the world to tackle this problem of virus and other illnesses. So you see, you are inspired by helping other people, by helping society, by making better things, and to reach that level of fulfillment, you need to then get prepared, and that's what people also needs to have: inspiration. You need to be inspired. Commitment is very important because, as you know, you may imagine, there are good and bad days in doing the thesis of the master's or the thesis in the PhD. So you need to be prepared to fall and raise up, and as many times as needed until you get your objectives. So perseverance is connected to that. So commitment and perseverance, we can call them resilience as well, if you will. A good academic history. Well, as you know, we have a admission process, and you are now entering in that process. Some of you are applying for admission, and the admission requires some particularities. We need to have some search of candidates who are going to apply, and that search is based on academic history and also the interview. The academic history is fundamental because it's the first stage that we evaluate before giving the interview to the applicants. So the good academic history means that you need to have a decent GPA in your previous career as a bachelor, for example, or as a master's, having enough TOEFL or IELTS. As you know, 6.5 is the minimum that we typically require to get admitted in master's and PhD. And for GPA, typically we require 2.7 over 4. And then good recommendation letters from your previous supervisor is very important. Your previous professors in the bachelor degree. This is very important. And also it's very important to have a pre-contact with the potential supervisors in the master's or PhD, because those contacts give an impression of yourself, and that will help for those faculty to suggest or to give you also support at the moment of admission by giving you some recommendations how to do a much better interview or so forth. Also, it's very important when you apply for master's or PhD to have a previous research experience. It's not mandatory. I have to say that it's not mandatory, but it's very important. It helps if you have already one publication or two publications in conferences or journals, and depending on the journal also, it makes a difference. And that's important because it gives a good profile of yourself in the future. Some people don't have any research experience, I have to tell that, but they have a good academic history, and they have a good level of English, and they have a good recommendation, they get admitted, and they do a great job as well. But research experience helps in the selection process. And typically, when you don't have a publication in a journal or a conference, you can always claim your capstone book is a publication. The thesis book in the master is a publication. Well, try to put that as a publication and be proud of that. Explain that when you are asked, and try to make sure that people understand that you are motivated and you are proud of what you did in your previous studies. Well, then once you decide to do the master's or the PhD, next question is where to do that. Of course, Nazarbayev University is a very good option. In Eurasia is, I would say, is one of the leading universities in the region, and probably soon we are planning to be in the top in the Asia region. And why we are heading that way? Well, because we are planning to be, and we are now becoming, a world-class university. And a world-class university is a university that has research and teaching as the framework to support the whole structure. So research and teaching are connected in all our activities, and we have a strong international connection with students and faculty and partners that we have abroad, and our students are oriented to get the higher employability or high employability as much as possible. So typically, a good university like Nazarbayev University is a university that is in search of excellence in everything we do. And as I said, we have top-notch laboratories, higher performance computing services. We have a state-of-the-art library that you can access via internet, but also you have a nice building that you can go and check books, get books, almost any books you want, you can get through the interlibrary loan. When the library doesn't have the book, it can get it through another partners. And we have very novel teaching technologies, and we have about high number of grad students that are now international students coming to Nazarbayev University from abroad. We have high impact publications by our faculty and our students in the master's, bachelor, and PhD. And we have international patents, and many entrepreneurs are coming out of Nazarbayev University. And of course, we are proud of contributing to society with our new generation of graduates. And we do many events and services to the industry and the local community. With this, I just showed you a picture of the group of PhD students that we meet every week, and they give some presentations of their work. And these are students that are, most of them, or some of them are now graduates. They're already doing the postdoc in many places around the world. Well, with this, I just complete my presentation, and I'm very open to answer your questions. Thank you very much. So please,
thank you, Professor, for this very interesting presentation.
Thank you.
Now, I have one, the Anastasia had one question here. Can you explain once more what is pre-contact?
What is?
Pre-contact.
Pre-contact means, for example, when you plan to do the PhD, it's important to check in the web page who are the faculty working in every department. Let's say you want to do the PhD in mechanical engineering. Well, you search in the web page the different faculty from the Department of Mechanical Engineering and maybe other departments related to the field. And then you find who in this department is working in an area that is very interesting for you. Then you send an email to that person, and you write to that person saying, hello, my name is, you give your name, your CV, and you introduce yourself. And you can start asking, I would like to work in your team in this particular topic that you are developing now, And with that information, you establish a link. That might give some hints to the faculty that there are very good students applying to work with him or with her. And in those cases, that person can be aware, give you some hints about when you come to the interview, try to put emphasis on that and this and that. So that person can give you some support on preparation for the interview or for the moment of application. So that's what I meant with the pre-contact. With the masters, there is no such a condition, but for the PhD, it works many times.
Can we ask questions?
Sure.
Okay. So hello, the presentation was very good. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm last year student and I'm studying economics. So my question is related to data science. So can you please tell us kind of some interesting like what kind of research opportunities does your university have? I mean, what are the opportunities that students of master's degree they have in the university, in the campus, kind of like this?
Well, I mean, as you may imagine, I'm in mechanical engineering, but I will tell you what is known by everyone. Nazarbayev University has become a hub in Kazakhstan for artificial intelligence, and
Okay.
now they have developed a center called ISAE. You can check in the internet, Nazarbayev University. I think the acronym is ISSAI. And this is directed by Professor Atakan Barol. And there is a large computing facility for big data. So that center is a fundamental structure that will give support to any faculty that wants to work in any of the disciplines with data science. As I said, data science is not a bachelor degree, it's a master degree because it can be linked to any bachelor degree that
Yes.
wants to introduce big data, artificial intelligence, neural network analysis to any particular field. Okay.
Thank you. Can I ask my second question?
Yes, please.
Okay. So the second question I have is so since I'm a last year student and my overall GPA will be ready at the end of the semester. So and the maximum GPA that applicants should have is 2.75 if I'm not mistaken. And if my GPA is not that big, can I still apply?
It's a very good question. Aida, please, you want to answer?
Yes. So the GPA requirement is the main requirement. So if you do not have minimum 2.75, so unfortunately, your application will not be considered. So we have exactly minimum 2.75. We have just like difference in the minimum requirements for IELTS. It's for example, if you have 5.5, so you will consider to new zip to 0-year program. But for GPA, we do not have such opportunity. So we need to have minimum 2.75. This is like exact requirement.
But if I am I'm a student, right? So my GPA the overall GPA will be get ready at the end of the year. So I might still get kind of like a good GPA at the end of the semester. So I still have a chance. So in this case,
yes, of course. If you increase, so you can, of course, you can apply then. If you increase your GPA.
But the deadline of I mean, if I'm not mistaken, the admissions deadline is 12 May, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, you will need to apply next year.
Okay, is it like that?
Yeah, because applications they are closed once they collect all the admission applicants and they select the students who are going to stay. The offers are sent. So you are I mean, if you don't have the GPA at the moment when you apply enough, as Aida explained, you will be not considered, but you might be considered next year.
But one thing here, if you have by May 12 like ready transcript, so you can in advance send us your transcript, but the official diploma you can send after the deadline. This is possible by admission department rules.
Okay.
Well, Aida, the admission process, the admission committees, they will start working very soon. Aida. Okay. Any other question?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was
Yes,
just
you are
saying
right.
that. Yeah. Okay. Any other question?
Okay, so next question. From Sergey. The presentation is very interesting. Master's program in full-time studies and the job in the first part of the day. What are the alternatives to get a master program at NU and stay with job?
Okay, it's almost impossible, honestly. The science and engineering is not possible because we have classes during daylight times. Yes, and this is a full-time master's. So when I say that some companies pay for masters, this is typically in some universities where they give night classes, mostly in administration, other cases, but in engineering and science, you have to take labs, you have to take classes that most of the times happen in daylight time, like Nazarbayev University. For engineering and science, okay? It might happen differently.
So there is the same question from Han. The same question from Darhan. So, hello, is it possible to combine job and the PhD? What is the size of scholarship?
Okay, for PhD, it's impossible. You cannot, in Nazarbayev University, it's not allowed to be working part-time and doing the PhD. You have to be full-time PhD. And the question about the scholarship, as you know, those Kazakhstanis who are admitted, they get a government scholarship, and the amount of the scholarship covers the stipend, and the university typically will give you an extra support with what is called a GTA, which is a kind of teaching assistant position in which you have to help faculty in undergrad to do marking and do service for undergrad students. And it gives a decent income to support a single person or even with a small family person. So far, our PhD students are doing well and are supported financially enough. So they don't, they are not allowed to work in another place.
Okay, so the next question. Good afternoon, Professor and other participants of this web conference. Can you please give me more details on interview with a potential advisor? I think Professor already told that from the website you can find any professor's contacts. So you should find more suited for your research proposal or research interests professor's contact, and you can write directly to him email.
Yeah, I want to say that. Yeah, I want to say that it doesn't guarantee that you will be admitted. I just say that if you get a faculty that is in the field of your interest and you have a strong background and you demonstrate that you are a good candidate to that faculty might be interested in your admission, but doesn't guarantee that you will be admitted. He or she might help you by coaching you to do a good do a good interview. That person might be motivated to coach you to do a much better interview when you are in the interview or those things. But there is no guarantee that you will be admitted except through the admission committee.
And it's not mandatory part of the admission requirements. So from this year, it's not mandatory to have research proposal beforehand.
Yeah, absolutely. So you don't need to contact any faculty if you don't want to. It's not mandatory. I just say that it's important that if you go to a given university to apply for PhD or for a master's, that you at least identify who is the faculty I would like to work with. Because imagine you want to do the master's or the bachelor or the PhD in nuclear engineering. Yeah. Okay, go ahead. Yes.
Okay, so another one the deadline has been postponed to June 1st. Yes, for the doctoral, for PhD program, admission deadline is June 1st. Online application deadline, sorry, June 1st. Anastasia is asking, Aida, yesterday I couldn't hear about minimum score of Alex test for MEM. What is it supposed to be and when is the test? Anastasia, yesterday as I told to everyone that it's still under discussion. So just wait from admission department, from admission committee members the email. They will inform you. They will explain everything about Alex test, about interview deadlines. So they will inform you in a near future. So please just wait from the email. They are discussing in the under the the process under the discussion because of this coronavirus situation. They are processing how to conduct Alex test. Okay, just a wait. Then Nazgul, do you have PhD for project management? No, yeah, we do not have engineering management PhD. We do not have.
No.
Is it possible to apply PhD in computer science without research proposal? Yes, Darhan, we just told you, research proposal is not mandatory requirement, so you can apply without research proposal. Aida is asking, may I please ask to show the previous slide 12? So yeah. Luis, could you show the slide number 12?
This one?
Aida, this one you mentioned. Yes, okay, you can screenshot it there. But be informed that after this webinar, I will send you the report of this webinar, okay? And another one, I'm interested in PhD in computer science and robotics engineering. Plan to build connection with professors and apply in 2020 year. Research proposals should be in advance submitted.
No.
Guys, yeah, we just told you. Research proposal is not mandatory. As professor told you, it's not mandatory. If you want, you can contact in advance with faculty, who you can find in our website, just to take his advice about interview, how to, as a mentor, he can advise you, but it's not compulsory, okay? So it's up to you.
It's up to you, yeah, completely. You don't need you don't need even to contact a faculty. I just say that if you want to do the PhD, you need to see at least a person that is in this faculty that might be your potential supervisor later. So you don't feel frustrated if you don't have the field where you want to develop your thesis. But it's just my personal advice. Try to make sure that you have the field where you want to do your research, because PhD is mostly about research. Even you have 25% of courses, you have 75% of research. Well, at least feel identified with one of the areas of the faculty who might be your supervisor, but you don't have to contact anybody on that regard. There is no research proposal needed for the application, indeed.
Okay, so another question here from Ayana. Добрый день, я поступающий PhD. Если у меня нет транскрипта, так как я учусь в МГУ, и мне сказали, что пока что они мне не смогут выдать транскрипт, что в таком случае? Ayana, she asked me about that she doesn't have transcript for now, so she's graduating from Moscow State University. She wants to apply to PhD, but for now she does not have transcript. Okay, Ayan, could you write to admission department? You can call to admission department call center, and I'll write here now their email address, info, then admissions, I think, their email address. You can write there, explain your situation. I think they have some exceptional, for this exceptional situation, some decisions. So you can write to them, they will reply you. I think there shouldn't be any problem. They can wait, maybe prolong. So until June 1st, maybe you already will have this your transcript. If not, maybe there are some exceptions. You can write there, okay? In our website, you have admissions and contacts, so you can write there. It's provided there, the email and the telephone. Okay, Aisaulia, my queue repeated for second time. Is it visible? My question repeats for second time. Is it visible? I saw like. Could you just repeat your question? Darkhan, is it possible to do PhD in computer science with thesis in areas computational economics and artificial intelligence?
Well, you need to convince the admission committee when you apply that your background has enough mathematics to support the courses, because the first year in computer in the PhD is fully loaded with courses, and those courses will be on computer science and PhD, and city is on course load, and you need to prove to the admission committee that you have a strong background to take the courses and approve them with a good GPA.
Mm-hmm. Okay, the next question. How do you support students after graduation?
Well, in the PhD or master's?
Muhammad Ali, could you just indicate master's?
Oh, okay, well, I mean, there is a student center that typically publishes opportunities, but also the same network of students, they start communicating, and there are many companies that are partners of Nazarbayev University, and I think it's natural. I mean, we give you good skills, and the network is something that you build naturally, and we don't see any trouble from our students who get the masters afterwards to get a job. So we always are open, of course, to interact with our students, to give them advice. And we have a network through LinkedIn, for example, where we connect with our students, and many times we provide letters of recommendations. This is a the recommendation letters and the network will be natural also. So you can count typically with that.
Okay. Another question. I have experience in geoscience, but there is no PhD in this area. Have I chance of admission to PhD in computer science? My thesis is automatical digital terrain model creation.
Well, again, I would say that you check the program in the computer science, PhD computer science. You will see the courses that are offered in the first year, and if you feel you can make a good performance in those courses, well, when you get into the admission committee, and if you go to the interview, well, just they will probably test you. They will try to ask you, see how well prepared you are to continue on that. Let me tell you that there is a PhD, I think, in petroleum engineering, and also there are 2 PhD programs opening also in the School of Mining and Geosciences. So you can consider also these 2 PhD programs if you have a strong background in geosciences.
Yes. Okay. So, any other questions? Any other questions? So if you do not have any other questions, guys, so we thank you for your participation. Sorry, one more question here. Is it possible to do PhD in computer science or robotics engineering if my master's degree in economics, but bachelor degree was computer systems and software? Thank you.
Okay, it's a very good question. Let me tell you how it works. I mean, you apply to the program, and then you put your documents in the bin, and Then if you had the master's and you had the bachelor diplomas, or the master is coming soon, the stage 1 is passed to the stage 2, which is now into the admission committee of the Department of Computer Science or Robotics, okay? So first thing is passing that first stage, which is having your bachelor completed and having the master's completed or in the process of being completed soon with GPA and English, okay? Then once you pass to the admission committee will check your documents, and they want to check how relevant is your background in the field of computer science or robotics. And this is the moment, and this is my personal advice, when you present your CV, your curriculum, or any certificate that you have, try to make it clear that your background is connected to the discipline of computer science, because the admission committee will consider that, and they will have to assess if you are or not a good potential candidate for the next stage, which is the interview. If they see that you have a potential to have a strong, good background to support or to pass the courses in the first year, they will let you pass to the interview, and that's the moment when they probably will have the interview face-to-face with you or interviewing by online system, and they will probably check your knowledge by asking you questions regarding, and then you have to be prepared to answer. What we don't want to do is to have to get the good situation where a student doesn't have a good background and then comes to the first year and don't have a good performance in the courses because he or she didn't have the preparation. Because remember, at the end of the first year, you will have a subject qualifying exam. Subject qualifying exam means that you will have to pass the courses throughout the first year, but also you will have an exam on 3 subjects from the subjects of computer science that are going to be proposed by the department, and you have to pass these 3 subjects in a written exam. This is a mandatory step to pass to the second year, in which you will have the research qualifying exam, and all the rest is most research than any other thing. So the first year is critical, and that's why the admission committee will be careful to select candidates that have a background that are well fitted to have a good performance in the first year, enough to pass the courses and the qualifying exam. So my advice to you is try to put in your CV to highlight your skills and your preparation in computer science or robotics, so the admission committee can see those skills, can see those features, and then they can feel that you might be a good candidate to perform well in the first year, and then you will have the chance to pass to the interview, and that will give you the chance to express yourself how well you are in that field to be admitted or not.
One more question. What is opinion on the latest tendencies about online education, where one can get any knowledge up to date, not wasting years and years studying in university? How can this influence postgraduate education? What do you think?
Okay, very interesting question. As you see, we are now doing all this whole process now online. There are some limitations in some technical careers, engineering careers, in which you need to do some work in the labs. And that is the major limitation that you may find with online education. You cannot do experiments online. You have to go to the lab and you have to do some part of the work online. The other thing is the following. We, as humans, it has been demonstrated that very, very few people can do the whole preparation work by working alone, individually. And we typically benefit from social interaction. So even though with the online system you can work with people by distance, it's always a good chance, it's a good practice to have at least few interactions socially, so people can see face to face to each other. But I would say the major limitation is with laboratories and the access to this equipment that is in the lab, that in technical careers like engineering and science are mandatory. So maybe as if you study administration or you study law or economics, these careers can probably be completely taught online with very little interaction with labs. But in engineering, in science, labs are almost mandatory in one fraction of the process. The rest, I agree, might be completely taken online. So, and I think that probably will be the trend. So we can have a much larger audience in our programs, but we need to deal still with the lab session, lab experience that we need to give to our students.
Okay. So, dear participants, so the time for this webinar is limited. So now in 2-3 minutes it will be finished. So here they're asking contact phone. Adil is asking contact phone for taking some like consultation, but Adil, now we are working, everybody is working from home, so it's better to send an email to us, so we will try to reply to all your questions. So I'm writing here the email address where you can send your questions. It says admissions in EduKZ. So I'm writing here. Okay, so this is an email address where you can send your questions. So after this webinar, you get the record of this webinar and you can look again all the questions. So first of all, I want to thank Professor Luis Rojas for this wonderful webinar. I think it was very useful for all of you, also for me. I get some replies from questions. Thank you very much for our participants. We want to wish you to stay safe, take care, and the next webinar will be on Tuesday about computer science department. Professor Martin Lukac will give the webinar. The title of the webinar may be a little bit changed because he planned to show online his computer lab, but in this day the campus is closed, that's why he will change his topic, but still it will be reminded to you. So thank you very much. Luis, thank you very much for you also. Yeah.
Thank you, Aida. Best of luck to everyone, and I wish you the best. Bye-bye.
Bye.